Hong Kong, and I had 5 flights I couldn't get on because they were overbooked. There's something wrong with that. I left Hong Kong on, would have been June 21st at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time in the United States. It is now Tuesday at 7:15 a.m. So I have been in transit for about 35 hours so far and counting. I arrived yesterday in Detroit, and customs was so backed up because they had 6 international flights come in all at once that it took me an hour and a half to get through customs. And I got to the security check, and the woman said to me, "You missed your flight." And I said, "No kidding," because I was so exhausted that I probably had a sarcastic tone in my voice. And she looked at me really sharply, and I thought, oh no, now she's going to lock me up. And the reason I was concerned about being locked up is when I got off the plane, this man with a gun in his holster ordered us to line up single file against the wall. And we thought, why do we have to do that? We had traveled, many of us had traveled internationally many times, never been ordered to do that. So we did, because we were afraid not to. And we were all exhausted from a 15-hour flight. So anyway, this woman came along with this giant dog. They call them Alsatians in Germany, and we call them German Shepherds. He was black with this long hair, about this long, fierce-looking thing, and sniffed us all. Now, I had been in like 6 different airports in the past 2 weeks, all over China, and I never saw anything like that. It was scary, and it was scary to all of us. And I thought, why don't they have a Chihuahua or a Pekingese or a Beagle at least do the search? They do the same thing, but then they had to have this monster dog come sniff us all. So somebody said in back of me, "Welcome to the United States." So that was what it was like to get on this soil once again. So then of course, I missed my flight, and as I said, I was afraid the woman was going to lock me up because I had a sarcastic tone in my voice, but she didn't. So then I get to the ticket agent, and she said that there's no flight out to Minneapolis until 8 o'clock that night, and I wouldn't get into Minneapolis till around 11 because they had 3 flights that were already fully booked. And so I said, you know, I just came from Hong Kong. I've been flying for 15 hours, and now you're telling me I'm not going to get home until 11 o'clock tonight? That will have me going for 27 hours, 28 hours. That doesn't seem fair. She said, well, I can book you to Milwaukee and then to Minneapolis, and you'll get to home at 6. I said, well, that's much better. I'll go to Milwaukee. So I get to Milwaukee, the flight is canceled. Well, it's delayed, and then it's delayed, and it's delayed. And this woman, Pat, who was a supervisor here in Milwaukee, came up to me and said, well, we can send you back to Detroit and get you to Minneapolis at 11 tonight. Would that work? And I said, no. I'll stay here and take this 10:50 flight out of Milwaukee. Well, that flight never took off. I waited and waited and waited, and lots of people decided to go to a hotel, but I just couldn't do it. I was so exhausted. I just wanted to stay in the airport so I could just get on the plane and go home and sleep in my own bed. And I was reeking. I was so stinky. I was afraid to get near anybody. It was horrible. It was just horrible to be so stinky. I can't tell you what it was like to be my age and to be afraid that I stunk. And I found every agent to be unconcerned. They did not care that I had been, traveling for more than 24 hours at that point. It was very, very hard. So the reason I was taking a 10:50 flight last night was because 2 more flights were overbooked, so I had to wait. So that's 5 overbooked flights that I couldn't get on yesterday and today, and then 1 flight canceled because of weather. So here I am now. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, left the hotel at 5 o'clock because I was booked for a 10:45 a.m. flight, and that's too late. I'm going to get into Minneapolis at noon, and I have work to do. I work. So I got to the airport at 5 a.m. and this little man, not little man, but this nice man with a nice face was standing at the standby counter, and I said, I'd like to fly standby on the 7:15 flight. He said, well, we can't call it standby because you're not a premium passenger. And he told me it was called something else, and he said, okay, well, now you're on that list. I said, well, thank you. Can you tell me where I am on the list? And he said, no. I said, am I number 1? And he said, no. I said, am I number 40? He said, well, you're between 1 and 40. I said, why can't you tell me? He said, you have to go to the gate. So I get to the gate, and I said, okay. By then I wasn't mad anymore, so I was kind of neutral to him. So I get to the gate, and the woman said, well, you're booked for the 7:15 flight. And I said, oh my gosh, the man down at the counter downstairs booked me and didn't tell me, and now I'm booked and I can leave at 7:15. So I get here, and the flight is delayed until, what, 9:50 or 8:50?
8:50.
Okay, the flight is delayed until 8:50. So hopefully I will get home sometime today, and I won't get fired from my job, or I won't have 65 people angry at me because I didn't do what I said I was going to do. I had an appointment at the Apple store this morning at 8 a.m., and obviously I'm not at the Apple store. I'm sitting in the airport in Milwaukee, which is kind of a nicely designed airport, if I may say so. So the long and the short of it is that the airlines have to stop overbooking. When I flew from Hong Kong and I had 5 flights I couldn't get on because they were overbooked, there's something wrong with that.
Contact an airline representative.
With this giant, oh, my friend!
Yeah, are you trying to get to Minneapolis? Okay, let's go over here. We'll get you checked.
What's
Get checked in?
Yes, I'm all
Oh,
set.
good. Oh,
excuse me, what's the status of the thing now?
Oh, it's in Minneapolis.
I videotaped you because
Oh,
you
no,
were so
I can't-
wonderful
I
to
can't
me.
see.